So you're sitting across from someone, they're telling you a story, and something feels wrong. You can't prove they're lying, but you know they are. I spent 5 years as an agent interviewing people who lie for a living. And here's what I learned: your body can't lie as well as your mouth can. So today, I'm gonna break down the 5 body language signs someone is lying, the exact tells agents look for, because once you know what to watch out for, you'll never be fooled again. We're covering baseline shifts, pacifying behaviors, eye blocking, asymmetric expressions, and Illustrator decrease. Alright, so the first sign someone's lying is a shift from their baseline behavior. Everybody has a normal way they act when they're comfortable telling the truth. That's their baseline. And when they lie, something changes. Their posture shifts, their voice changes. They start doing things they weren't doing before. The key is noticing the change. So a few years ago, I was interviewing a witness in a financial fraud case. The first 20 minutes, they would relax, leaning back, hands resting, speaking at a steady pace. That was their baseline. Then I asked about a specific transaction and everything changed. They leaned forward, started fidgeting with their hands, their speech sped up. They were giving me more details than I asked for. They were over explaining. Now, none of those behaviors by themselves mean someone's lying, but the sudden shift, that's what caught my attention. Here's why this works. When someone's comfortable, their body relaxes. When they lie, their brain goes into stress mode and your body responds. You might not consciously decide to fidget or lean forward, but your nervous system does it anyway. It's trying to manage the stress of deception, and that creates a visible change from your normal behavior. So, how can you use this at work? Let's say you are in a one-on-one with an employee. You're asking about project status. They are relaxed, making eye contact, speaking normally. That's their baseline. Then you ask, did you finish the client report? And suddenly, they break eye contact. They start touching their face. Their voice gets quieter and faster. That shift tells you something. They might have not finished the report. There might be a mistake in the report. You don't know until you dig deeper. So you follow up. Can you walk me through what's left to do? And then you need to watch out for what happens. The key is, don't accuse them based on one shift, but use it as a signal to ask better questions. So sign number 1, baseline shift. Everybody has a normal. When they deviate from it, pay attention. Now let's talk about sign number 2, pacifying behaviors. When people feel stress or anxiety, like when they're lying, their body tries to calm itself down. It's called self-soothing, and it shows in very specific ways. Touching the neck, rubbing your hands, playing with your hair, adjusting your clothing. These are all pacifying behaviors. And when you see clusters of them during specific questions, that is a red flag. Here's an example from an investigation I had. We were talking about their whereabouts for a specific day, and for the majority of the conversation, everything was fine. Hands were calm on the table. But when I asked about the whereabouts for a specific day, that's when I started seeing it. He immediately touched the back of his neck. He started rubbing his hands and shifted into adjusting his collar. So 3 pacifying behaviors in under 10 seconds. Now here's the thing. I hadn't accused them of anything. I just asked a simple question, but the body was screaming that the question made them uncomfortable. So why does this happen? See, when you lie, your body releases stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, which is going to cause your heart rate to increase. Your palms might sweat, and your brain is going to signal, calm down. So unconsciously, you start doing things that soothe yourself. Touching your neck stimulates the vagus nerve, which helps you relax. Rubbing your hands together is a tactile distraction. You're not choosing to do these things. Your nervous system is doing them for you. And as an agent, we are trained to spot them. And I'm going to show you how you can apply this. Let's say you're in a negotiation with a vendor and they're pitching you a price. You ask, hey, is this the best offer you have? And then you watch for what happens next. Because if they immediately start touching their face, or rubbing their hands, or adjusting their tie, that means that you make them uncomfortable with the number. That means that there's room for negotiation, that they have a lower price that they can go to. It's just that their body just told you that before their mouth ever did. So what you need to do is you need to stay quiet, let the silence sit, and then they'll offer you a better price just to relieve the discomfort. Or let's say you're interviewing a candidate. You asked about a gap in their resume, and they start a cluster of pacifying behaviors. Touching their neck, playing with their hair, adjusting their clothes. That gap is a sensitive topic, and there's something there they're not telling you. So you probe gently. Hey, can you tell me more about what you were doing during that time? Alright, so sign number 2, pacifying behaviors. When stress shows up, the body tries to calm itself down. You need to watch out for those clusters. Alright, sign number 3 is eye blocking. When people hear or say something they don't like, they don't really believe in, or they simply don't want to deal with it, their instinct is going to kick in and it's going to block their eyes. It's a subconscious way of shutting out uncomfortable information. This shows up as closing eyes longer than a normal blink, rubbing your eyes, covering your eyes with your hands, or looking down for an extended period of time. And it's one of the most reliable indicators that something is wrong. So I remember one time I was questioning this subject and I presented her the evidence. I laid out everything on the table, dates, signatures, you name it. I had a clear timeline that I presented. And as I was explaining this, she closed her eyes, not to blink, a full 2 seconds. Then she started rubbing her eyes and then looked down at the table for about 10 seconds straight. She didn't say a single word, but her eyes said everything to me. And it was that I don't want to deal with this information. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, the whole story had changed because their body had already admitted the truth before their words ever did. Here's the psychology behind eye blocking. From the time we were infants, we close our eyes when we're uncomfortable. A baby covers their eyes when they don't want to see something. That instinct never truly goes away. As adults, when we hear something we don't want to accept, or when we say something we know isn't true, our brain sends a signal to block it out. So we close our eyes longer than normal, we rub them, we look away. It's primal response to discomfort, and because it's subconscious, it's very hard to fake or suppress. Here's how you can use this at work. Let's say you're pitching an idea to your boss, you're explaining your proposal, and right when you mention the budget, they close their eyes for a long blink, or they rub their eyes, or they simply look down. That's eye blocking. They don't like the budget number. They are uncomfortable with it. Even if they say, okay, sounds good, their eyes told you the truth. So you adjust. Hey, I know the budget's a concern here. Maybe I can face it over 2 cycles. Do you think that might be more beneficial? Well, let's say that you are in a negotiation. The other person says, that price works for us. But as they say it, they rub their eyes or they look down for an extended period of time. Now you know that they might be lying, that maybe the price doesn't truly work for them, and they were just simply hoping that you wouldn't notice. So you stay firm. You don't lower the price because you know they're bluffing. So sign number 3, eye blocking. When people don't want to see or accept something, their eyes shut it out. Alright, let's move to sign number 4, and this one's subtle, but it's also the hardest for people to fake because it happens on your face before your brain can stop it. Sign number 4 is asymmetric facial expressions. When someone has a genuine emotion, both sides of their face express it equally. But when they're faking an emotion, or even lying, one side of their face does something different than the other. It's called asymmetry, and it's a dead giveaway. Let me give you an example. You're in a meeting and your coworker says, yeah, I'm really excited about this project. But when they smile, one side of their mouth goes up, the other side barely moves. That's an asymmetric expression. You're not actually excited. They're performing excitement. Or someone says, I'm not upset, but one eyebrow goes up while the other one stays flat. That's contempt or doubt. They're upset. They're just not admitting it. The reason this happens is that genuine emotions are processed symmetrically in the brain. But when you fake an emotion, the signal doesn't distribute evenly, so one side lags behind the other. Let me show you what this looks like. Go ahead and watch my face. This is a genuine smile. Both sides go up equally. You can see it in my eyes, my cheeks, everything's symmetrical. Now watch this. See how one side's doing more than the other? That's asymmetry. And once you know what to look for, you can't unsee it. So how do you use this? Let's say you're giving feedback to an employee. You tell them they need to improve their communication skills. And they say, yep, I get it. I'll work on it. But watch their face. If one corner of their mouth turns down while the other one stays neutral, or one eyebrow goes up, they don't actually agree with you. They're just saying what you want to hear. So that can be your tell to go a little bit deeper. Hey, what's your take on this feedback? Or you can simply ask, do you see what I'm saying here? Alright, so sign number 4, asymmetric expressions. Remember, real emotions, they're gonna show on both sides of your face. Fake ones don't. Alright, let's go to the last one. And I'm gonna tell you why I saved this one for last. It's the one sign that shows up in almost every lie. Once you see it, you'll spot it everywhere. Sign number 5 is Illustrator decrease. When people tell the truth, they use hand gestures, what we call illustrators, and they use it to emphasize their words. But when they lie, those gestures decrease. Let me tell you about a case where this was a smoking gun. I was interviewing somebody about their whereabouts, and for the first 10 minutes, they're animated, hands moving, gesturing. They're just having the best time of their life. Normal Illustrator. Then I ask, hey, who was with you at the restaurant? Their hands drop to their lap. They got completely still. They reply with no emotion whatsoever. And that freeze told me everything. There was nobody else at the restaurant. They were alone that night, which contradicted their whole story. Here's what Illustrator decrees look like. When I'm telling you the truth about my weekend, my hands are active, I'm gesturing, pointing, describing. But watch what happens when I lie about where I was on Saturday. My hands stop, they go flat. My brain's working too hard on the lie to keep up the natural movement. So here's how you can use this. You're in a meeting, your team members explaining why your project is delayed. At first, they're gesturing, pointing, using their hands to describe the situation, which is normal. That's their baseline. But when they get to the part about why it's late, their hands drop, they go still, their gestures stop. That's your cue. Something in that explanation isn't true. Maybe they didn't hit the deadline because of poor planning. Maybe there's another issue. So you probe, hey, can you walk me through what happened step by step? Or let's say you're interviewing a candidate and they're telling you about a project they led, hands moving, animated, confident. Then you ask about what was their specific role in that project and their hands stop. That might be a tell that they're exaggerating their involvement and how central they were to the project. So sign number 5, Illustrator decrease. Truth comes with gestures. Lies often don't. Alright, let's do a recap of the 5 body language signs when somebody's lying. And sign number 1 is the baseline shift. So you need to watch out for changes in their normal behavior. Sign number 2, pacifying behaviors, are clusters that tell you that they're stressed. Sign number 3, eye blocking. When they don't want to see or accept something, their eyes shut it out. Sign number 4, asymmetric expressions. So real emotions show up on both sides of the face and the fake ones don't. So sign number 5, the illusory decrease. Remember that lies often make those gestures disappear, while the truth is going to come with a lot of movement. Now here's the important part. You never rely on just one sign. You need to look out for clusters, which are the multiple signals that are pointed in the same direction. So here's a challenge for you, and I want you to report back in the comments. So this week, go ahead and pick one meeting, one conversation, and before it starts, write down their baseline, how they're acting, how do they normally act, and then during that conversation, start watching for 2 things. Do they shift from their baseline? And do you see clusters of pacifying behaviors? Don't accuse anybody, just simply observe. Then come back and tell me what you notice, and I'll tell you what you might have missed. The more you practice, the better you'll get at reading people. If you want more federal investigation tactics for your workplace, hit that subscribe button. I post every Sunday at 6 p.m. with techniques that you can use immediately.